You know, I come to the floor today to talk about how delusional my Democratic colleagues have tried to poison our country's young people with what I call a woke mind virus. You know, before I got in politics, I spent 40 years working with young people from the high school level to the college level. Higher education, we call it. I coached, recruited, and mentored young people all over the country, thousands of them. I saw firsthand how hard work and a quality education can change a person's life, no matter where they come from, what they look like, or how much money they have. I used to tell my players that if they work hard, there's no limit to what they can achieve. It's called the American dream. Our founders came here because they envisioned a country where the sky is the limit and people aren't bound by the circumstances that they were born in. But, unfortunately, the Biden administration and the Democrats have spent the last 4 years communicating a much darker message to our young people. You know, this country was founded on merit. But instead of focusing on hiring the best and brightest, Biden, Harris, Obama, and the woke mind virus Democrats have spent the last 4 years dividing our country based on diversity, equity, and inclusion, or better known to all of us called DEI. This poisonous ideology says that people should be hired based on their skin color or sexual preference, not because of how they might do in a job. And to make matters worse, the Biden administration used $1 trillion American taxpayer dollars to pay for DEI programs in the federal government. $1 trillion. You heard that right. American taxpayers are footing the bill, and they were paying for things that were racist, divisive, and woke. A woke propaganda. So, I don't know about you, I want a refund. I want my money back. We all pay taxes. Why in the world would we do that? Let's call DEI what it really is, a fundamentally racist, prejudiced, and anti-American ideology that is designed to divide and oppress people. Exactly what it is. It's baffling to me how Democrats don't see this, or do they? They claim to be a very tolerant, inclusive party rooted in equality. But as we have all learned, Democrats are only tolerant as long as you agree with them. I thought we left the stain of discrimination and race-basing hiring practice behind in our country a long, long time ago, but apparently not. It's clear that Democrats would rather divide Americans based on their race, gender, creed, or sexual orientation than live in a world where people are hired based on intellect, experience, work ethic, and merit. What a thought. So let's set the record straight. This country owes you nothing except for the opportunity to succeed. That's what's great about this country. And if you don't succeed, you can get back up and go again. We're the only country that allows that. For generations, Americans understood this, all Americans. An opportunity to pursue your dreams, to use your God-given talents to contribute to making this country the greatest place to live in the world. I've always said this, if you were born in the United States of America, you hit the lottery, 100%. And I guarantee you, the other 7 billion people in this world would give anything to take the place of any of us, from the poorest to the richest. My new granddaughter of just 2 weeks, Rosie Grace, if there's any one thing I can teach her as a grandfather, it's the value of hard work and determination. There's nothing that takes the place of that, nothing. With a strong work ethic and a commitment to excellence, opportunities will open up for her or anybody to live a happy, successful life, and that's all a grandfather like me now can ask for. Hard work and determination. So what kind of message is it that if we're teaching our young people that they are victims of their circumstances and the American dream is only for people who have a certain skin color? That's the opposite of the American dream. But Democrats don't care one bit about that, not one bit. I've listened to it for 4 years. Obama started a horrible trend that Democrats carry on to this day. He used racism to divide the Americans and politically enrich themselves. Look at the money they've made. The woke mind virus has taken hold of them. They've lost their ever-loving mind. They'd rather promise racism and promote it, sexism, divisiveness, than support solutions that empower, unify, or uplift our country and our people. Democrats are obsessed with hating this country and tearing it apart. They want a different United States of America. Doesn't matter if it is anything that's pro-American or pro-traditional values. It doesn't matter. Democrats will attack it, demonize it, and demonize us for supporting it. These people have zero respect for human life. They have known their true colors in the past. They have shown their true colors in the past few years, ever since Roe Wade was overturned, which sent abortion back to the states where it could be voted on by the people instead of politicians. They have raised Cain. Since then, Democrat politicians have said the quiet part out loud, admitting that they think there should be no limits to abortion. How can you believe that? That means that they're okay with aborting a baby at 9 months of pregnancy. Former Virginia Governor Ralph Norman, a Democrat, said that he supports after-birth abortions. Are you kidding me? And other Democrats, like Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, remember him? Flash in the pan, signed a law to allow abortions after birth. Signed a law in Minnesota, abortions after birth. What do they do with that? They cut these babies up and sell the body parts. It's never talked about too much, is it? Can you believe that this is who the Democrats picked as their vice presidential candidate? I can believe it. That means that in Minnesota, a doctor can kill a baby after he or she is born right there on the delivery table. It's evil, and it's absolutely sick. But it isn't just babies Democrats have no respect for. They also have gone out of the way to attack women and girls. Just last week, every single Democrat in this body voted against my bill to protect women and girls in sports. Oh, we've got to give these transitional boys an opportunity to participate, really? How about giving fairness to young girls and women the opportunity to compete at a level that they're in? Give them an opportunity, not to play for second or third, but play for first. How about that? The woke mind virus has struck again. Democrats who claim to be pro-women would rather protect a few transgender people than protect the millions of women and girls who make up half of this country. Oh, we got to be nice. We got to be nice to everybody. No, we need a mental health program in this country. It's what we need. Democrats who claim to be pro-women would rather protect a few transgender people than protect the entire country of women and girls. It's backwards, it's disgusting, it's downright wrong. You'd have to be dumber than a box of rocks to celebrate this, but that's what they did. They celebrated the handful of transgenders participating women. Oh, we knocked it down because it was supported by Donald Trump, who wrote out an executive order protecting women and girls. Thank you, President Trump. By the way, 79% of Americans and 67% of Democrats support that men do not compete against women. Huge majority. But every single one of my Democrat colleagues went against their constituents and voted against this common sense bill to protect women and men out of women's sports. Democrats basically are hypocrites, big time. They claim to be pro-woman, but allow men to dress up as women and take rights away from actual women. When we saw this firsthand during the Biden administration, when they had actual drag shows at the White House, made me sick at my stomach. But the hypocrisy doesn't end there. Democrats celebrate when Hamas protectors violently attack Jewish students, but they demonize and imprison pro-life activists who peacefully protest outside an abortion clinic. Whose side are you on? Democrat colleagues say they are pro-choice, but choose and lose their minds if a parent dares to ask a question about vaccines, for instance. I mean, they go off the deep end. We talk about vaccines. They claim they are the party of decency. Really? Tolerance. Are you kidding me? But turn a blind eye to multiple Democratic mayors being arrested of being pedophiles. Yes, that's what I said, pedophiles. The former Democrat mayor of University Park, Maryland, was arrested and charged in 2024 with 28 counts of possessing and soliciting child pornography. In jail, 24, mayor, right down the street. The year before, 2023, a different Democrat mayor was the one from College Park, Maryland, pleaded guilty to 140 counts of possessing and distributing child sexual abuse images. Mayor, leader, Democrat, believes in the way of life for the Democratic Party, a pedophile. So, 2 Democratic mayors in Maryland have been arrested in the past 2 years for pedophilia. You can't make it up. The woke mind virus strikes again. I've yet to hear a single floor speech from my Maryland Democratic colleagues about this catastrophe. A leader caught doing this. They don't care. It doesn't bother them. They seem to find plenty of time to criticize President Trump every time he breathes, but they don't worry about pedophilia. How about we all speak out about it? I have yet to see them take the time to condemn multiple elected officials from their state who have been arrested and contributed to all this child pornography. It's sad, but we shouldn't be surprised. Democrats only pretend to care about the oppressed or the most vulnerable among when it benefits their agenda. After all, it was Democrats in the states like California and Washington who introduced bills to change the term, the name of it, sex offenders, to minor attracted persons. Well, you're not a sex offender anymore. If you beat up a little child, molest a child, you're a minor attracted persons. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, okay? So what a joke. It makes me sick again in my stomach. If it wasn't for the re-election of President Trump on November the 5th, I really don't know whether we'd have made it. Our country was headed straight to the gutter. Straight to the gutter. I mean, just listen to all this. It makes no sense. Now we have common sense, trying to get common sense back into our country. We have to push for it. Thanks to President Trump and the ideas he's brought back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This administration is working around the clock to get this woke crap out of our government. Our military, out. Classrooms, out. Get back to teaching our kids. President Trump is committed to abolishing the U.S. Department of Education, a federal agency that has failed our students for the past 40 years that I've been in education, and especially under Joe Biden and Barack Obama. President Trump believes, and is correct, that our young people are the country's most important, precious commodity that we have. They are the future. He understands that under President Biden, the Department of Education allowed radical left-wing teachers to push radical, hateful ideologies onto our kids. We don't need opinion teaching. We need to teach reading, writing, math, science, and history. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with giving them a chance? Because they have ruined the lives of thousands of young people because they've indoctrinated them. You had drag shows that were being performed recently in elementary schools. I mean, in my day, you'd have been arrested for that. Woke anti-American curriculum taught kids to hate each other. Actually in classroom, teaching them, hey, you hate them because of who they are, where they're from, what skin color they are, absolutely a crime. Schools help children secretly transition genders behind the parents' back Oh, you want to transition? You're 8 years old, don't tell your parents, we'll get it all set up for you. Mind-boggling. The woke mind virus has struck again. All of this, by the way, on the taxpayer's dime. You're paying for it. Meanwhile, we're 26th in the world in math, we're 6th in reading. That's simply not good enough for the most powerful country in the world. When I coached and recruited, I was shocked if anybody was over a 9th grade reading level. That's everybody. I don't care what color, where they're from, urban, rural. If you can't read, you can't learn. If you can't learn, you're going to end up working for somebody or just scraping to try to make a living. But instead of teaching our kids to read and write, the Department of Education under Joe Biden became ground zero for woke indoctrination. All they were concerned about was bowing to the teachers' unions. You heard that, teachers' unions. Teaching our kids to hate this country, its government, our Constitution, and each other. What are we doing? Thankful President Trump is sending education back to the states where it belongs. I've advocated this for the last 20 years. Just this week, the Department of Education announced it was firing more than 1,000 people right down the street. Thank goodness. They hadn't been doing anything. They've been working from home. And what they do, we can do it back in the states a lot better, and we can use that money to educate kids. What an idea. Good, the Federal Department of Education needs to be completely shut down. It's not done yet, but we just got started. I've been saying it for a long time. We can't have a one-size-fits-all, top-down approach to education. You know, I'm from Alabama. We teach kids a little bit different because we're a different environment, rural area, 60% farmers, agriculture, and all those things. We don't teach the same things as you would teach in Chicago or New York. Send it back to the states, let them control it, let them teach our kids to have a chance in the future. Each child is totally different. You know, the federal government can't do that. I ain't figured out in my 4 years here yet what we can do. But at least we're figuring out, hey, it's not working here, close it down, quit spending money and send it back to the states. Which is why President Trump's plan to empower the states makes all the sense in the world. But of course, Democrats don't believe in common sense. They are the only concerned about we have to control this. Because they know that if they don't control education is the number one thing we have in this country going for us. If you take that away, everything else goes. If they can't control education, they won't be able to infect the minds of all these young kids across the country. They want them to think that the Constitution's bad, that government is really bad, that their parents are bad, that you ought to listen to us. You know, a spoonful of common sense goes a long way. So let me sum this up for you. Merit-based hiring is the only way to make a business successful, merit-based. When I coached, I had to win games or I was gone. I didn't care who they were when they played for me. I didn't care whether rich, poor, rural, urban, black, white. It didn't make me a dime of difference. Put the best ones on the field. They were going to earn it. That's how this country should be run. But that's the difference between my Republican side and my colleagues on the left. They want everything given. It ain't gonna work, folks. We're not gonna have the country we had the opportunity to grow up in if we continue down that path. So merit-based, men are men, women are women. Men cannot get pregnant, by the way. I know they can tell you that all they want, but I learned that very, very young in life. But evidently my Democratic colleagues didn't learn that. Protecting women and girls in sports is the right thing to do. Allowing elementary schoolers with undeveloped brains to get irreversible sex change procedures makes absolutely no sense. It's evil and sadistic. Teaching kids to hate each other based on what they look like, folks, that's racist. And that's exactly the direction that the Biden administration was going. Children shouldn't be forced to watch drag shows. If you're an adult, you can do what you want in this country, but forcing this woke agenda on kids is downright wrong. Making taxpayers pay for abortions in the military, wrong, against the law. But they did it anyway. I fought it for a year. I lost out in the end, but you know what? It was worth the fight. Pedophilia is straight from the pit of hell. And no, these aren't minor attracted persons. These creeps, they're criminals, and they're sick in the head. And I thank God every day for President Trump and the return of common sense in this country. Hope some of my Democrat colleagues will wake up to how the past 4 years of this woke ideology has poisoned our country, and especially our young people. Folks, we got a long way to go, long way to go. Our future is in the hands of our kids. Let's give that future back to our kids. Let's educate them, put them on the right track, teach them the Constitution, teach them that we have a higher being in God. Put that back in our schools. What a thought that would be. But stay away from our young kids and let them have a chance to develop. I yield the floor, Mr. President.